So in our last video, what we did is we looked at what was happening Canada-wide and we drilled down to Alberta. So we were going from macro down to micro. And now we're going to get a little bit more in depth and look at exactly what's happening in the Calgary market. So sit back and just watch exactly how I analyze how the Calgary market is doing. So let's dive into the Calgary Housing Statistics Review, all right? And we're gonna zoom right in here and let's just really analyze what's happening here. So the first thing that we can see is that overall sales in August have been fairly strong. So if you look at August 2022 versus 2021, we've kind of stayed at pace. If you look traditionally, August is a very slow month for sales. You look at people coming out of the Calgary Stampede in mid-July and then wanting to go on to family vacations and enjoy summer and whatnot. So usually August is a fairly slow month. But what we're seeing here is that the pace at which we saw sales last year in August, we're pretty much on par here. Okay. Now, when we look at the different segments, and we're going to drill down here, what we actually saw is that there's a pullback on the detached market. The detached market here, there was almost an 18% decrease in the number of sales. Where that really picked up in was, as you can see, in the apartment segment. All right, so apartments are condominiums. And so there's been a dramatically high increase in condos. So if you own a condo or you're thinking about buying a condo, well, guess what? There's more sales happening in that sphere right now. Now, what you can see here is that the benchmark price for a detached home is $633,000. And when you average out your benchmark prices, the benchmark price for a home in Calgary is now $531,000. Okay, and that's up 11% year over year. So if you want to generalize it, the market's up about 11% from last year in August when it comes to benchmark pricing. And if you want to look at the specific type of properties, well, if you want a detached home or want to buy a detached home, you're up about 13%. All right, so let's go into here and dive in a little bit more. We're going to skip over inventory. You can see the inventory numbers there, but what I really want to do is go through months of supply. And months of supply is similar to inventory, of course, but what we're seeing here is that on average, we're in and around 2 months of supply for all of Calgary. Now, if you look back, and if we go back to this, when you're at that type of inventory, you're pretty much going from a seller's market into a balanced market. So we're kind of hovering in and around that. And I'll show you that a little bit more right here. So you can see the inventory levels for each of the segments of, okay, this is how many detached homes there are, semi-detached, row, and condos that are available. But when you look at the inventory levels over here on months of supply, you can really see that they break down within the different quadrants of the city. And so if you own a home, let's just say, this is a good example right here. If you own a row townhouse in the south part of Calgary, you're in 1 month's supply. So you're in a seller's market, all right? Whereas if you own a row townhouse in the northeast, you're almost in 2.5 months of supply. So you're pretty much in a balanced market. So you can see the difference between that type of product. All right, and so this is how you can really read this piece, and you'll see that depending on what part of the city you're in, there's at a micro level, there's different markets that you're seeing where you've got buyer markets here, you got seller markets. Here's another example right here for semi-detached. Okay, again, you're looking South Calgary, which we all know in general is a highly demanded part of the city, versus the Northeast, and you can see that we're just a little bit over a month of inventory versus 2.5 months again, which is similar to the row townhouse. What we'll do is we'll kind of flip down here now and look at the City of Calgary total sales by price range. And you'll see that it doesn't matter what segment that you're in, you're always going to have demand for priced homes. So even if you're in the million plus, you still see that there's demand. But what's really important to see is that in general, year over year, there's been stronger demand for every price sector. Okay, now when you see something like this is something to be very, you should really question this. And what you're seeing is that when this is total sales by price, you're seeing that there's a lower amount of sales in the 400 to 499 range. And one of the questions that can be asked here is, are we saying that people don't want to purchase properties within that range? But when we look at every other range here, year over year, you see that there's a strong demand and sales are occurring. So what this is telling me is that if you own a home between 400 to 499, so between $400,000 and $500,000, more than likely we're having an inventory issue. Okay, and that means that we don't have enough homes in that price range. So if you're thinking about selling your home and you're kind of in that range, that's the value of your home, you know that you could probably get a premium dollar for your property, all right? Because there's not enough supply. Now, when we look at, and I'm just gonna go down here, City of Calgary total sales, you can see right here that the 10-year average is just under about 3,000. And you can see that the number of sales that we had in August is tremendously much higher than that average. And you can compare it to year over year. And that, again, this August, we've had a tremendous number of sales. And the majority of those, again, are in the row townhouse. Okay? And you can see that our apartment sales or condo sales have exceeded that 10-year average. And that hasn't happened, as you can see, since 2014. And 2014, it's kind of right at where that was. So again, if you own a condominium, it's also a great time to think about selling it. Okay? And that brings us to what do we want to summarize as we look at this overall. When we're looking at what's happening in the real estate market in Calgary right now based off of August data, in general, what we're seeing is the number of sales year over year is higher than the year prior. When we're looking at the different segments of where the majority of the sales happening, you can see that the detached market is starting to not have as much of sales occurring. And the reason behind that is, if you look at when we're looking at the price segments here, what you're seeing is that detached homes are generally in the higher range. And so what people are looking to purchase, they're looking to purchase things that are a little bit more affordable. And that story kind of goes well with what we're seeing at a national level. So if you look at the national level, you're starting to see that listings are increasing, and you're seeing that not all of them are selling. And when you look at the pricing, you're seeing that people are looking to purchase right here. The average price of that is being sold is much lower. And so yes, are the value of homes coming down? Yes, and you can see that with this little tick down here on the benchmark price. But what you're seeing is that there's a stronger desire for lower priced homes. And so when you're looking at lower priced homes, those are generally going to start off with being condominiums, row townhouses, and semi-detached product. And that's why you're seeing that when you look at the total sales, you're seeing, again, up here that the majority of the sales in every part of the city is always going to start off with lower end product. And then you'll see the detached properties be a little bit higher. Great, so now that we've looked at what's happening in the Calgary market, we're gonna drill down and start looking at product type. But before we do that, what I wanna do is make sure you have a full understanding of what's happening throughout Canada. So if you haven't had a chance yet to really see the first part of this video series, which is what's happening at the macro level, take some time to actually look at that and watch it, because it's really gonna help you understand where Calgary places in comparison to the rest of Canada. So go back, watch that, come look at this, and then we're going to start looking at product type.